And we are live. Welcome back to the Startup Tank, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If this is your first time, this is the Startup Tank. It's a bit like it sounds like. We get the world's top founders and we bring them on here and put them in front of top investors, both through our syndicate, which you can find out more at mattward.io/the syndicate or thestartuptank.com/the syndicate, and other investors through our network, like the great Bernard Vogel. We've got him on the program, an angel investor. He's also a member of View Venture Partners. And if this is your first time and you want to learn a little bit more about us, thestartuptank.com for more details. But now I've given you a little bit of a background about us and what we do. We focus on featuring the top pre-seed, seed stage companies, mission-driven companies that are changing the world for the better. Climate, fintech, AI, consumer. If you've got a company that you would like to pitch, then visit thestartuptank.com/apply for more details and to participate in one of our upcoming sessions. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the subscribe bell. You can subscribe on YouTube or on your podcast platform of choice to make sure you never miss a thing. And our upcoming sessions will be today's April 11th. We have one on April 25th, May 9th, May 23rd, June 6th, and June 20th. So be sure to subscribe, be sure to join, and be sure to apply if you're a founder looking for funding. And now let's get on with the program, folks. So this week, we've got a pretty serious slate of startups packed for you guys, somewhere between 8 to 10. It's always a little bit of a toss-up when you're going live to see how many of our awesome founders show up. But just to give you guys a little bit of an overview of what exactly you're going to be seeing. This week, we've got companies that are focused on Web3 and smart contracts, delivery, but with robots, benefits for all, even remote teams, helping you be a better parent, students monetizing your stuff. And we have Robo chefs that are helping cook faster, better, funding the next generation of film, focused on better solar, and a new and innovative way to look at charity. That's what we've got today on this week's Startup Tank. If you haven't subscribed, visit thestartuptank.com for more details. And if you're on YouTube now, we'll have live questions for you guys to be able to ask right there in the chat box. Now, this is going to be a little bit more of an innovative version. This is V4 of the Startup Tank. Today, I've got, as I said, Bernard Vogel on the program. Bernard is an accomplished angel investor and venture capitalist, and he'll be helping me with judging the companies. Now, is everybody ready to kick things off? I sure hope so, because now it's time to dive into the tank. And the order we go with random so that startups have a little bit of nervous edge, because that's what it's like when you're getting in front of investors. And first things first, to kick things off, how about RTM? Do you want to go first with Blockpulsar? Share a little bit more about what you're doing?
Yeah, just give me.
I will add a spotlight to you so that you can share your screen. I'll add one to Bernard as well. And after the pitch,
do you guys see my screen?
We see your screen, and then after the pitch, we'll also be providing a bit more critique, Bernard and myself, about your pitch. We'll be giving it a little bit of a scoring, some questions. The audience will post their questions, and at the end of the night, we'll also have a vote for the startup of the night. But now the floor is yours. Take it away, Artyom.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everyone from sunny New York City. I'm Artyom. I'm going to present Blockpulsar, which provides a modern platform for blockchain developers, particularly smart contracts and Web3 developers. We are a founder of two. I wanted to present my co-founder, Dikran, who is an expert in designing scalable systems in a cloud environment and the development environment for developers, and myself. So a while ago, Tikran and I was developing smart contracts, and we had a lot of issues for deploying smart contracts, testing smart contracts. And we found what this is a really big issue, did some research, and turned out what a lot of other developers having the same issue. So we decided why not to automate this entire thing so the smart contract developers can focus on only writing smart contracts. The solution was simple. We decided to adopt continuous integration, continuous deployment for smart contracts. What does basically Blockpulsar takes care of everything else. in the background tasks. It just seamlessly integrates with GitHub, runs tests for the smart contracts, builds blockchain application, manages continuous deployment, and handles key management for smart contract accounts. So this is the picture of the entire design. Just developers submit the smart contracts on the GitHub, and we take care of from where to build, run, and when deploy the smart contract. Our business model is pretty simple. We provide a premium model and enterprise solution for developers. In general, the smart contract market is growing very fast, exponentially year by year, and it's expected to be $1.5 billion by 2028. Not only what, but also smart contract developers also is involving into the space. As you can see, job posting grows, and a lot of students are trying to learn how to implement smart contracts. We do have some competitors in the space, but we are focusing on automated deployment and continuous deployment, continuous integration of smart contracts instead of providing just physical or just nodes for developers to work with. But we say we will take care of everything rather than providing you to some instruments you can use it. So our vision is simple. We are planning to provide a modern development platform so developers can use a CI/CD as a smart contracts, and also in the future we plan to provide smart contracts analyzing tool for security audits and pen testing. This is a really huge issue in a smart contract environment, so we cannot just skip it without analyzing the source code to make sure that everything is secure and it's running as it is expected. Thank you very much. I hope I tried to present this in 3 minutes. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Awesome. Thanks for the pitch, Artyom. And again, if you guys are listening, then if you post in the chat, we'll see your questions. If you've got any questions you want us to ask Artyom. And right now we'll dive into questions with myself and Bernard. And then again, at the end, we'll have some scoring to pick a company of the night. Do you want to go, Bernard, or should I?
Start, Matt. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, one of the big questions I have is how do you see the space developing? There's a lot of positivity in the space. There's also a lot of charlatanism in the space. And there's been a lot of issues when it comes to smart contracts in general. Obviously, that's kind of where you guys come in, but do you get skepticism when talking to investors and when talking to prospects about what you're doing and the kind of legitimacy or the importance of what you're doing?
So it's, I think the space is growing not only in theoretical side, but also a lot of developers are involved. For example, we recently participated many Solana organized hackathons. A lot of developers are coming and developing new features, new products on top of the Solana smart contracts. We see how community is involved. We see how market is growing. We see a lot of developers are involved. At the same time, we see a lot of investors are coming to the hacker house to figure out which company to pitch. So it turns out the market is really huge and even better than we expected. So no skepticism here, exactly the opposite. The thing is, it takes some time until the real world uses the smart contracts. But as we can see from here, already a lot of industries like supply chain, banking, government industries, we are already taking eyes on it and trying to use smart contracts because it can boost their growth, it can boost their revenue, and they can boost their logistic issues. So in other words, industry also is taking very serious on this. At the same time, the infrastructure needs to be developed, those smart contracts. So we are taking care of this infrastructure, and smart contract developers can focus on writing smart contracts, and the industry can use those smart contracts.
Mm-hmm. One thing you mentioned is there's definitely competition in the space and it's growing. this is going to be, is your view of what you're building basically going to be an infrastructure technology similar to the kind of underlying blockchains itself? And then B, what makes you the person to build this and when?
So first of all, yeah, the competition is coming because in terms of a lot of unsolved issues in this Web3 space, including this development infrastructure and things like that, a lot of open problems can be solved, can be automated. So this is why a lot of companies and individuals trying to solve this problem and to fill the gap. So what we are trying to be ahead of the time. We are trying to
выступать на совещаниях или вообще просто питчить, презентоваться, рассказывать о том, чем вы занимаетесь через...
I'm sorry?
No worries, we'll blame Putin.
Sorry.
So what were you saying, Artyom?
I got the question from someone. Someone who is trying to speak Russian, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who exactly that is, because they would have to have been in our chat. We'll ignore that and say that was just something straight out of the ether.
What was the question in Russian? But yeah, so our platform is similar to, for example, GitHub Actions. If you know the GitHub Actions, it's just like when you just submit your code into your branch and GitHub Actions takes care of the deployment. We are trying to provide the same for the Web3 environment for smart contract developers.
And why are you the person to do that? What's going to make you guys win?
That's because of our expertise in have experience. My co-founder has experience in developing scalable infrastructure for developers, for companies, for developers to work easily, to automate development environment. He's an expert of this field, and I'm have experience in software security and in blockchain. So we just merge this our knowledge and skills to try to make this happen.
Okay. Do you have any questions, Bernard, from your side?
Yeah. So what are the barriers to enter for other competitors to break in and try to do the same? And how do you hold an unfair competitive advantage over them?
This is very interesting. We are, for example, Alchemy provides infrastructure, but it doesn't take care of the automation and doesn't take care of deployment. It just provides you, for example, an API and says, hey guys, you can use this to develop your smart contract or deploy your smart contract. But what we are saying, hey, developers, you should focus on your developing smart contracts rather than focusing on how to take care of deployment and analyzing part. We make it we automate this for you. And but our competitors right now providing infrastructure where developers still have to spend a lot of time to get work with. For example, while Dikran and I was developing smart contracts, we used Alchemy and we found it very, very hard to use, even though they provide a nice API, but it wasn't automated, and we still had a lot of issues to solve rather than focusing on writing smart contracts. Our vision is simple, just we wanted to make sure all the developers who don't know how blockchain works, who don't know how they can interact with the blockchain, they should be able to write a smart contract. There are a lot of Rust developers, they don't know how the blockchain works, but they can write a smart contracts. And the proof of this was during the hackathon. We see a lot of, in Solana hackathon, we see a lot of developers. They really don't know how blockchain works. They really far away to understand it, but they wanted to implement smart contracts without knowing how blockchain works. And we say, okay, right, this is the right position, and we provide you infrastructure to do what? To implement your ideas.
Awesome. So that's your USP. There's not necessarily like a lock-in effect then, I think is what Bernard was getting. There's not really a way to prevent other people from doing it. It's just that's kind of your USP, and you're planning to be the first there and grow and scale because of that, and to push.
Yeah, it's really important if you provide your products easily and very fast. Speed is very important in here, because everybody can get ahead of the time. So we wanted to be ahead of time and say, hey guys, we are here.
Thanks for clarifying. We've got questions from the audience. Christoph Varga asks, who's the ideal customer for Blockpulsar?
The ideal customers are smart contract developers.
Okay, so anyone building.
Anyone. It can be company, it can be individual, it can be freelancer, anyone who is developing smart contracts.
Okay, then we've got a more technical question from Timothy Fletcher. Attestation process. Are you GRC enabled like Tugboat, or are you going to focus more on SOC2 or NIST 800 V2? Be honest, I have no idea what that means.
I fully understand what does it mean.
I can agree on that. If Timothy can put more context, maybe we can ask a follow-up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that made any sense to you or not, Bernard. I might not be deep enough in the space.
Yeah, but are there any more audience questions, or I can just jump in with the other?
No, jump in with another one.
Yeah, so what would you tell a customer in order to tell them or give them a use case, and also what would be, and how easy is for these other customers to replicate your advantage, and what you're doing different, your features, and how do you plan to sell these features to new customers?
Yeah, the good question. Again, this is very important, how you provide your service to your customers. We try to make it as simple as possible. We try to make it scalable. Scalability is very important here, because when you are building, for example, smart contract, it takes time until it compiles, until it analyzes. We developed the infrastructure where we can do it very fast. We wanted to make sure what building doesn't take longer time. For example, we have a infrastructure you can also follow the real time how is going your building process. But another important thing here is right now a lot of smart contract audits are going manually. In other words, people are sitting and manually reviewing it. So we are automating it. We don't want people to sit and manually review the smart contracts. It's definitely possible. I can tell it from my experience as a software security engineer. So in other words, building infrastructure to automate all of those kind of things, it's really hard. It's definitely possible, but it's hard. Based on our experience, we provide it as simple as possible to make it happen.
Okay, and if investors are listening, want to set up meetings, put your information into the chat. We've got to move on now to next startup of the night. This one's a fun one, especially since it's almost dinner time here in Zurich and in Europe. We're going to go with Bolt-on and Jarek. Thanks so much for presenting, Artyom. Thanks for sharing what you're working on. And let's pass the stage over to Jarek. Jarek, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you are doing with Bolt-on?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me today. I'm Jarek Graf. I'm CEO and co-founder of Bolt-on. We make multi-cuisine machines automating bowl preparation. Let me share the screen. I'm from financial world and have financial background, but also I started my career from Pizza Hut. I was a cook when I was 16 years old. So I know a lot about how kitchen works from inside, and I know that it's not an easy job. And now in the COVID times, we have a trouble that restaurants, they can't hire line cooks even for $25 an hour. It's very high employee turnover because people change job every 86 days. At the same time, it's low productivity. A one line cook can make around 20 bowls an hour. And overall, if you want to increase your revenue at the restaurant industry, you can make it only with scaling your labor cost and all the problems on top of that. So we make a machine that makes salad, soups, and hot balls with a productivity of 300 customized meals an hour, which is equal to 10, 13 line cooks working together. Let me show our recent launch with a company called Reef. It's the largest dark kitchen operator in the world. So we launched our first model. It's a salad station. Orders come directly from the system like Grubhub, DoorDash, something like that. And machine immediately starts assembly of your meal. We store all ingredients, one portion of ingredient per plastic container. So it provides you productivity of 150 custom bowls per hour. For now, in that version, it's our first product. So it requires only one part-time employee who's just providing clean bowls and take ready ones. And this is how it works. So it's around 1-2 minutes per bowl, while ordinary people just make around 5 minutes per bowl. Let me get back to the pitch. So this cartridge approach provides unlimited option for customizations, because you can put whatever you want in the plastic container and assemble a very wide range of meals. So on top of that, we transparently know, the system transparently knows everything about the containers, when it was uploaded, when it's going to be expired, and can automatically discard expired cartridges. This approach with cartridges allows us to move food prep from end kitchen to central kitchen and to make it in a much more efficient way. So this way we have a central kitchen preparing all these cartridges and delivering them to dozens of kitchens around. So we can install our machines in fast casual restaurants, in cloud kitchens, and to use it as a vending model for offices, space, and hospitals, airports, etc. So as I said, it's and in terms of market, we have the most flexible and diverse approach because we can cook the widest range of meals, and we do it in the most efficient way. We don't use any expensive robotic arms or something like that. So we have a salad station now. We're going to develop the hot module embedded into the system, providing us opportunity to cook hot meals and cold meals with warm base and proteins. And the more mature our technology is, the more closer we would to fully automated vending machine. Escape. Our business model is subscription. We provide our machines like with a small fee for installation and setup, and then we charge monthly around $5,000 to $6,000. Eventually, it's the cost of one line cook a year, so around $60,000, $55,000, $60,000 a year. We target three verticals. We start from delivery kitchens because it's much more controllable space to launch, and we control everything there. No consumers can come and see it in action, so we have an opportunity to fix the problems if we have some. So then the more mature our technology, the more it fully autonomous, we moved to both segment of fast casual market and food vending machine. Considering all these three verticals, we think it's doable to launch 4,000 machines within 5-7 years, and earning $55,000 with annual recurring revenue. We can reach $220 million in the market. So we launched with the Reef. They paid $53,000 for annual subscription for that machine and covered $60,000 of pilot cost. We signed LOI for 10 machines to launch in the following 12 months. Overall, we have 4 signed LOIs for 60 machines, which is equivalent of $3 million. And so that's how we are going to grow. We have a great team, combined expertise with food operations and robotics. My partner, Paul Schwetz, is the CTO. He was he worked at Unilever supply chain, making automation projects there, and he founded a company making self-driving robots for warehouse automation. So he is a quite talented engineer. Also, we hired Massimo DeMarco, who has tremendous expertise and background in the restaurant and hospitality industry. He founded one of the first ghost kitchens in the United States called Kitchen United. It was backed by Google. And now he's making his own pizza making machine. So also we hired, which is very important for our project, we hired Gennady Goldstein, who worked the head of automation, head of innovation at Yum Brands, and worked at Wellbuilt, who is the biggest restaurant supplier of equipment. So he knows everything about how to manufacture and to certify kitchen equipment. So now we're raising $3 million to execute all the demand we have, because now actually it's enough for us for the following 2 years. So what we want to make with this money, we want to launch 5 units in the US, sign contracts, set up production line in the US, obtain certification, and develop the hot module. So that's it. Would love to answer your questions if you have ones.
One thing that I heard and just sounded like a red flag. Thanks for the pitch. You did a phenomenal job. But one thing I might have misheard. Did you say your head of business, dev, and sales is also working on another project for a pizza machine?
Yeah, I understand that's confusing, but actually, as you could see, with his network he provided, he doesn't need to work full time for us, because we already have more demand for our machines that we could have. So it's enough for us with the part time. He works like 8 hours a week. We have like regular calls with our clients, with the new clients. So I understand that it seems not very good, but at the same time, at this stage, that's totally enough.
So you mentioned his network was super valuable. How have you managed to get the clients and the pilots that you have now? And then what do you plan on in terms of future growth?
First of all, it's Massimo and another advisor, Jeffrey's network. So they just have great network in the industry. What about Reef? It was also Massimo had signed contract for his pizza making machine with Reef, and with that partnership, he provided information about our project to them, and they were so excited. They say, "Oh, okay, guys, let's launch something." So that's how it worked. And what about the next stage? We have our pipeline that we work on together. So we already in contact with many companies. I just don't want to spend time on mentioning all of them, but just to believe me that it's in our business, it's great that we need one company to cover like hundreds or dozens of our machines for the future. So it's not like B2C business, right? So we have everything for that.
I know people have discussed the challenges. Hardware is hard. Everyone knows the common adage. It's expensive. It takes time. It takes more money. It takes all the development. What are the other challenges outside of that you've had building a hardware company to this scale at this point?
Oh, yes, it's really hard. I would mention that we're doing great job so far. We've raised $500,000, and that's what we reached. What you're seeing, we've launched this pilot launch. We've built already 2 different generation models and hired a great team. So we're handling that hard job. What about the most the hardest obstacle we have for now is raising money, because raising money to hardware startups is also a hard job. And the second point is production line. It's not it's just a matter of time, but it's not an easy. We need to find great partners for launching in the US for now. So we are discussing with 5 companies for now in Texas and in different states, and just it's not an easy job to find the best one.
Okay, one last one from me, and then Bernard, you take over. Any defensible IP or anything that can prevent others from coming in and just replicating your RoboChef model?
We've patented our cartridge approach, so it's already pending patent. What about defensibility? I would say that the most our advantage is that we can build hardware fast and lean way compared to other startups. All food tech startups or food robotics startups in the US, I know they've raising like $5 million, $10 million to build anything and to launch anything in the field. So while our team made several pivots with relatively low budget, so I believe our team can compete in building and pivoting the solution in the future. So just.
Do you have any questions, Bernard, for Yadic?
Yeah. So what do you see the hardest thing to replicate about your product? Can someone else easily offer the same value proposition?
If we don't consider patent as the strong protection for the startup, I would say it's not. We have what is complicated. It's the hardware part is not complicated. So if engineer just can come and see it in action, they possibly, if they're smart enough, they possibly can replicate it. But we have a lot of IP in our software system that managing all the hardware, that providing your manager app, and that's something that you can build from the scratch, and you can't have access just with watching your eyes on our piece of equipment. So I would say that is not easy to replicate.
Okay.
Anything else from you, Bernard?
That's all from me right now.
Okay,
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks for opportunity to pitch.
Absolutely, but you're not free yet. We've got some great questions from the audience as well.
Sorry.
It looks like we've got a convergence on the questions from Big Wing Tech. He's been a regular here on the Startup Tank. Thanks for tuning in and posting the question, and from Christoph as well. So does the monthly 5K subscription cover call out charges? So i.e. maintenance costs, breakdowns, mechanics, etc. How do you handle that?
Yeah, it's not a microwave or a coffee machine, so we can't provide it to sell it to you and say goodbye. We need to be 24/7 nearby to fix any problems. It's complicated piece of equipment, and it's quite new, right? So we should be nearby to fix. So we consider 20% of the production cost to spend every year for maintenance.
What does that leave you at margins wise?
Sorry, could you clarify what you mean?
In terms of how much profit you're making. So is that 20% then factored into the $5K you're charging a month? So how much yearly are you pocketing versus cost, et cetera? I know you're pricing the price of the model into the pricing.
So we have our production costs with $50,000 for the machine, which we are going to cover with loan. I mean, there's some companies who provide financing for the contract you have. So if you have contract, they can provide you financing to build the machines. And after that, we charge, not charge, but we spend money for the maintenance. So profit per month, it's around $4,000.
Okay, so you're basically breaking even pretty quickly then, and everything after that is top line and profitable. Awesome. It sounds like a great business model. It sounds like a super interesting opportunity. And if investors want to reach out, it's Bolton, like a bowl or a ton of bowls, bolton.com for more details and information. Be sure to set up a meeting. And now a quick pause before we jump onto our next startup. So if you guys are listening to this and you're enjoying it, be sure to hit the subscribe on YouTube. And it'd be great if you would share this around on social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. Share a link, tag the Startup Tank, hashtag the Startup Tank, all of that good stuff to get these great founders a little bit more exposure and coverage. And then Jarek, thanks so much for presenting.
Thank you,
Matt. I want to move things on now to our next startup. We did hardware. Let's go. Hardware is hard, so let's give hardware another shot. Hey, Brett, do you want to present Limelight and what you guys are doing with Robo delivery, the lazy man's approach to delivery?
Hey, Matt. Yes, absolutely. Let me do a screen share here. Yes, hardware is certainly hard, but that was very interesting. Okay. Can you see my screen?
We have your screen.
Great. Okay, awesome. Well, hi. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to Lightline Delivery. So we are solving the package problem in apartments with robots. So let me take a moment to set the stage. Something interesting is happening in apartments all across the nation. People are ordering things online like crazy. An apartment building that used to order 100 packages a day is now getting 300 packages per day. Millennials and Gen Z renters are moving into apartments and they expect things here and now with the click of a button. And work from home trends are causing people to spend more time at home than ever before. But the intersection of these trends is causing a very real problem for apartment residents every day. I know because I am one of them, and I've lived in 4 different apartment buildings in the past 5 years. The biggest problem that hasn't been solved yet in living in apartments is getting a package. Currently, every time residents like myself order something online, they have to interrupt their workday or daily life, walk some distance, surrender their privacy at home, ride elevators with strangers while at home just to get a package, then repeat, repeat, repeat. For some residents, this problem is every day. So we are using robots to automate the last 500 feet of online delivery in apartment buildings. Our mission is to make it easier to get the things you want while being at home. We don't believe you should interrupt your day or have to think about getting an online order once you click deliver online. So we deliver packages, groceries, food, anything that comes in the lobby from the front desk directly to your door. It's private, it's convenient, and it's one click to receive. So our primary business model is B2B subscription service. The owner, manager, or developer of the building will pay Lightline approximately $3.50 per hour for a 24/7, 365-day delivery service. This enables them to attract, retain, and grow their resident base. Our goal is to serve a $4 billion market, and we are starting with Class A apartment buildings. A large portion of Class A apartment buildings have a concierge that can load packages into the robot as they come in, which is why we're starting there. As we scale to past Class A, our costs will lower, and then we can enter Class B apartments, offices, and garden-style apartments. We plan to integrate with lockers and package rooms so we can work with all properties, no matter if they have a concierge or not. So far, we've developed a working prototype. We've developed an autonomous robot capable of talking to elevators, intuitive mobile apps for the concierge and the resident. We've run proof of concepts with the largest elevator company in the world, Otis Elevator, 2 pilots with the #1 ranked property management company in the US, and 1 pilot with Ritz-Carlton, the gold standard in residential hospitality. In our last pilot, we had a 70% adoption in the building and 100% net promoter score. Residents absolutely loved it. And in surveys afterward, they said they would pay on average around $37.5 per month for the service. So we are raising $1.5 million for a 15th month runway to build out and commercialize a robot to put into the market and start generating revenue. We plan to put around 5 robots into the market and sign 10 to 20 service level agreements with people who have expressed interest so far. So in 1850, the elevator changed the vertical flow of goods and services within our buildings forever. In 2022, Lightline will change the horizontal flow of goods and services for everyday life.
Don't overdo it, man. Don't overdo it. When you don't be WeWork. Don't be WeWork. It's not making the world all that perfect. That was one of the reasons that Brett's here, actually. When Brett reached out, my initial response and the email I sent him back was, you know what, Brett? I absolutely hate it because I think people are actually lazy enough that they would want this. And that's kind of my thoughts and feedback on it is if you've ever lived in a big building or if you work in a big building and get deliveries, this is just the kind of thing that I could see working, even though I would love to root against it. My question for you is there enough of an incentive for building owners to put something like this in, or does there need to be that monetization model where they can charge more? Because there is so much demand right now for most places have more demand than they have supply.
Yeah, that's a great question. Typically, when we look at amenities across the board, so whether it's any smart home devices, pools, rooftop lounges, gyms, on average, the amenity premium per month is around $30 to $60. And this service would cost the apartment around $10, which we think they can monetize by either charging the residents more. So we think they can charge around $30 per month for this rent premium, but the value doesn't really stop there in the fact that they're attracting and retaining residents. So this is when apartments are looking at different amenities, there's not a lot of really great and cool options that put a property on the cutting edge that are useful. And so we see this as something that really makes the property stand out. So when residents are touring or looking at other buildings or even thinking of moving, they're going to remember this amenity and how useful it was because they'll use it almost every day. So that's where we see the value. For properties that already have some sort of courier delivery service, and we call that like A+, so not even class A, but like A++, like Ritz-Carlton. They're paying like the Ritz-Carlton pilot that we ran in Boston, they're paying $25 plus 38% in benefits per hour. And so for just 5 hours of operation a day, that equates to somewhere around $60,000 or $70,000 per year that they're paying. So that's why, for example, Ritz-Carlton, they saw this and they're like, oh my gosh, this is going to cut our costs at least in half. And we don't have to worry about training. We don't have to worry about sick days, paid time off. So that's kind of where the value is for class A++, but then class A, it's just an amenity at very low cost relative to everything else on the market.
So you mentioned you had great networks, and that was part of the way that you managed to get some of this going. What's been your sales strategy mostly to date, and how do you scale that and see the future going?
Yeah, so we've had different ways of acquiring pilots so far. Our first pilot, we just reached out to the information chat on Vizio's website, and they were interested and wanted to pilot. The second pilot we ran was with Ritz-Carlton, and that was from an article that we've put out. And one of the residents saw it and then asked the manager, "Hey, can we run a pilot?" And then the third pilot we got was a referral from the first pilot to another property within the Vizio portfolio. We've experimented with LinkedIn ads, Google ads, Instagram ads, some Facebook, and we've gotten some traction. We've had at least like 15 or so different properties reach out about pilots, asking us about the service. But moving forward, we think the one thing we haven't done yet is taken this to a conference, which is how most prop tech B2B is selling right now, is these conferences and word of mouth. And so that's one thing we're going to experiment with next month. Is we're going to the Marriott Directors Conference for all the residential directors globally, and we're going to take this thing and show it off to everybody. We think that's the best way to sell is getting this in front of people, and then from there, word of mouth, and then selling within portfolios.
What's the biggest pushback you're having right now from investors?
The biggest pushback, mainly that it's hardware. The other thing is some people don't think we're actually solving a real pain point or a real problem. Which if you haven't lived in like a building, I can definitely see that. And then prop tech is notoriously hard to sell into real estate because it adopts technology very slowly. So those are kind of the main pushbacks we're getting so far.
Bernard, do you have any questions on your side?
And what's your biggest spend right now? It's the hardware of the robots?
Sorry, the biggest spend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the robots. Yeah. So here's kind of how much the robot costs in the short and long term. They are more expensive because we're not really producing thousands of these things. Even at scale, we're still talking, millions. Even at scale, we're still talking thousands. So the scale you get in manufacturing is not that significant. And then we also want to make these things very safe. So we're using like safety rated components and LiDARs and sensors. So things add up, but in the short term, we're looking at cost per robot around 24,000. And then in the long term, we think we can get that down to 20,000 and probably to 15,000 in the long run. And then here, yeah.
Sorry, yeah, what's the average size of apartment that you think one robot could fulfill?
Around 250 units is the average Class A apartment, and that average extends into Class B as well. We think that one robot could serve 250 units, 2 robots, and you probably need 2 robots past that. So that's what we're looking at right now.
Any worry about go ahead.
Yeah, what happens if so how the service works is packages arrive to the lobby and the residents are notified, and they can request a package on demand, right? So the concierge receives residents' requests and places the package in the robot for delivery.
Yes, right? That's exactly right.
So what if the robot has a pipeline of deliveries, and in that case, what is the longest time it would take for the robot to deliver, assuming you have a 250 unit apartment all signed up and using the robot?
So it definitely depends on the apartment, but one thing that we found from our pilots is that even if they signed up for the service, or even if a resident signed up for the service, it doesn't mean they're going to use the service all the time. It just means they're going to use it when it's convenient. So what we saw is a ratio of roughly 1-to-1 packages picked up to delivered. And then in terms of a queue and a pipeline of packages coming in, currently we're running the service on demand. And so if we had multiple packages come in the queue, we would just deliver one by one. But in our next version, what we want to do is be able to make multi-unit deliveries. So the concierge can look at the queue and say, okay, and we'll have a smart queue so the concierge knows what to do. But okay, if there's one package for floor 4 and there's another package for floor 4 and then another for, I don't know, 10, well, we'd run the floor 4 first and then we go to 10, but we could put multiple packages in the robot at once. So we're trying to make this as efficient as possible. We saw from our pilots that from the time that someone places an order to the time they get a package, it's like usually under 5 or 4 minutes. So round trip, the delivery takes like 5 to 7 minutes, but it also just depends on the size of the building. If it's a mid-rise, it takes a little bit longer. If it's a high-rise, it takes shorter.
It also makes me think about the pain point itself, like just as an analogy, someone who has a kid, if I have cookies out and they're only being eaten half of the time, they might not be cookies that are that great or something that people want that much. How do you think about that if it is that 1-to-1 ratio of usage to non-use?
Yeah, so what we saw is food orders were usually they would just be called up with a robot because people wanted that immediately. But for the 1-to-1, sometimes what we saw is people would come home from work and they'd pass by and they just say, hey, can I just get my package? And so it was just easier, more convenient. Other times, we saw people come home from work and they were just like, the concierge would say, hey, you have a package. And the person would be like, I don't want to get it right now. I'll just call it up with a robot. So it really just depended on how people were feeling that day. And then, people that work from home don't really have to go downstairs much ever. So those types of people will usually just call it up. So it really just depended, but getting a package outside of maybe going to the gym within the building and then leaving for work was kind of the main reason that people were leaving their units, at least on premise.
One last question for me before we go to listener questions. What percentage of residents actually used the service?
So the last pilot we ran, we only did it for iPhones, and we estimated that around half the building was iPhones, and so we estimated that we got 70% adoption. And then within that, 90% of those used it at least once. 95% used it at least once, and then I'll have to look up the percentages, but I think it was like 70% of those used it at least twice. And then we had some people use it like every single day, and this was over the course of 4 weeks. So
okay. That would be good stats to know for your next pitch when investors tell you that there might not be interest. If you have repeat usage, then repeat usage kind of speaks for itself. Anything else from you, Bernard, before we jump to, looks like Big Wing Tech's got another great question.
I'm curious to know what drove you and what made you want to work on this project and this startup, and what makes you passionate about it?
Yeah, certainly very passionate about it. So I started my first startup like 5 or 6 years ago, and we were trying to tackle outdoor delivery. So just the last mile with robots. And we had this vision of where we would also connect outdoor robots with air drones. So the idea was that air drones wouldn't have to be able to deliver at every single point in the city. They could just deliver to these stations, and then a robot could then deliver it the last mile. And so we wanted to start with the last mile, but then what we saw was there were so many regulatory barriers, and there were some other companies moving into the space, and they were getting shut out by regulations. And so we thought, you know what? No one's tackling this indoor market for residential, and that's kind of the last step. And we thought that if we could kind of control that, it would put us in a good position in the whole ecosystem. So that's why we started where we did. But I personally have just been interested in robotics for the past 5 years. I've lived in apartments, so I knew this was a pain point for residents. And then I'm not an engineer. My co-founder is the engineer and CTO, and he's always just been fascinated with automation. Works at Microsoft and Dell and VMware, and we found each other at Babson College, which is specialized in entrepreneurship, and we said, "Hey, let's do this."
That's my alma mater, man.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. Go Babson.
Yep.
Babson, yeah. Fun fact, little known, but they're the #1 entrepreneurship school in the world, ahead of Penn and Stanford and Harvard. So, not that cool, but fun fact.
You got to put them on the scoreboard too. I've heard that a couple times from Babson, but I seem to see a lot more from Harvard, Stanford, MIT for the big name founders. So maybe you can be one of those big name founders. So we had a question from Big Wing Tech as usual. He's always here and has some great questions to add. He said, "What about competition?" I think Saviok was the name that he mentioned here.
Yeah, Saviok, Aethon. There's another company called TechMedics. So Saviok is mainly specializing in hospitals and hotels, a little bit in nursing homes, a tiny bit in logistics. And they make a very dynamic robot for environments where there's like a lot of hustle bustle, like a hospital. There's so much going on. So you have to kind of have this small robot that's very dynamic and circular. And so they've developed this brand for, very B2B, very hospital. There's not a lot of sexy things you can do with that. And they're not really looking at residential. Aethon is kind of the same way. They do have a bigger robot, but they're tackling kind of the same market there. And the premise of that is they're just lowering the operational expenses. So it's a relatively straightforward thing. And then there's another company called TechMedics, and they're taking this whole broad base approach where they're trying to tackle everything, which we don't really think is that effective, especially for real estate and prop tech for multifamily. They kind of need something on a silver platter because the whole concept of robots is sort of foreign in the first place. But if we can give them something that is made for them and really tailored to the main thing that's coming into the buildings, which is packages, we think that'll be a pretty big differentiator. So there are definitely other robot companies out there. Our mission is just to make the sexiest, coolest one and specified specifically for multifamily and everyday living.
Mute technology. Awesome. Then thanks for presenting, Brett. I want to move on now to our 4th startup of the night before we take a quick pause to see who our top startup for the first half is. And now I want to hand things over to Neural Solar, the companies that are trying to make solar a little bit more efficient with better monitoring and usage.
Thanks, Matt.
Absolutely. You take it away. We were going to skip on Neural Solar. Neural Solar may have just dropped off. Well, then let's pass the ball over. Alberto, do you want to take over? See what we can do with Face Donate about deploying a little bit more easy money and corporate good in projects that matter.
Let's see. It's difficult after this. It was a great presentation, so well done to you guys. So here we are. Can you hear me well?
Sound great. Yeah. Take it away. Face Donate. What are you guys doing?
Wonderful. So let me share some slides with you guys, and then we can take it from there. So back to yes. So Face Donate. We're here to solve food poverty today through the social of your ESG. So let's concentrate on something we can tackle on and we can wrap our heads around it today. So our core values that drive this project of our social enterprise is that transparency and efficiency together bring trust. So we are based in London. We are supported by UCL and AWS, and we got legal support by Thomson Reuters Foundation. So Let me ask you some questions to start with this idea. So, do you know how many people cannot afford to eat today in the UK? Well, it's a rhetorical question. It's about 9 million people cannot afford to eat today in the UK, which is crazy. And in Europe, this number goes up to 100 million people. Now, given that we are talking to the US right now, who cares about Europe? Who cares about the UK? So I just found out that there are about 33 million people that cannot afford to eat in the US today. And about 5.1 million in the US are really struggling. And on the other side, we have food waste. So there are about 12 billion of food wasted that is wasted just by the retail sector in the UK today. And in Europe this number is astonishing, is 165 million. Now, retailers are getting better and better. There are this sort of services, but how can we help? So the last bit of information that is really drove this project forward was this. So charities are not very effective. They're not very efficient. So do you know how much they spend on fundraising and reporting? It's something crazy, like 30% of income. So, and these two things are separate. So charities fundraise on one hand with donation platforms, whatever you know about those, and then they report on the other end. So the delivery and the fundraising are two separate bits. And why are we here today? Because we think we solve a problem. And the problem we solve is that traditionally, donation platform lack transparency and impact reporting. So one person donates to a good cause, but then they don't know what happened with their money. So there is a kind of a preemptive trust given to the charity before we know about their actions. And something along these lines was mentioned by this very controversial actor that everyone knows, Elon Musk, which a few months ago kind of had this conversation with the World Food Programme saying, if you tell me how the donation are spent exactly in this thread, I'll sell stocks to make it happen. And so before this, actually, we started working on Face Donate. So Face Donate is a software, is a platform that shows the use and impact of every donation. So you donate, and the charity or whoever gets the donation in order to use the donation needs to tell us what does with it. And this can be compiled, so it can be aligned to sustainable development goals. And this is quite interesting, both for charities and for corporate donors. So there's no cash in hand, it can only be redeemed in person, you can predefine goods or goals. And if we look at food waste, we reduce, if we look at food insecurity, we reduce food waste. How does it work in the context of food security? A donor chooses a cause or a project and donate. Charity gets the money. They can allocate it through our software to a beneficiary, which then spends the money in the retail sector. The retailer gets extra revenue. We charge a fee to the retailer. Very clean and simple. This is something we're doing with Acne Food Bank, one of the largest partners in the biggest UK food network of food banks. So the charity gets the donation, they allocate it to individuals. The individuals go with our verified digital vouchers, if you want to call them so, and they authenticate in the system by taking a picture of themselves, and then they pay using a QR code. And the receipt is shared with donors, which are then more stimulated to give again, because knowing that we help Philip or we help Philip's family makes us want to give again. And knowing that he didn't receive a box he didn't choose, but he bought fruit and vegetables that he wanted, makes us feel good again. And this is, again, one single aspect of the plethora of projects we're looking at, but food security is very understandable. So how do we make money? We are not a charity. We are a business for purpose and profit. So we make money in three different ways. When basically we take money out when the donation is spent. Charities are very happy because we bring them extra revenue, mainly from donors they didn't have before. So donors that are looking for impact monitoring, and they're happy to pay us a fee, which is way cheaper than what they usually pay for fundraising and reporting costs. Retailers are very happy to work with us because not only they get extra footfall from the clients we bring them, so imagine a supermarket, but also they have a new way of fidelizing their current clients by asking them a donation, which for once the person that gives will know how it's spent, and that money can be spent in their own shop. So we're working also, we're having conversation not only with food retailers, but also with the computer PC world and this kind of technology suppliers. Why? Because digital inclusion is another big trend in the UK at the minute, and people seem to be willing to donate as long as they get feedback. On top of this, corporates are happy to work with us because we make it simple for them to organize employees giving program, sponsorship, and these kind of things. And they can choose as many charities as they want to support or one of our portfolio. And we provide them real-time dashboards with showing the impact they achieved on the numerous projects, and they pay us a fee. Our traction to date, so we invested zero on marketing. It's all bootstrapped. These numbers need to be changed because it's actually 55. Sorry, I didn't. I checked on a previous presentation before. It's £55,000 that we collected over with 200 donors over the last 6 months. We have 100K committed in 100 grand committed in donation from a single donor to tackle the food security program, and we secure fees from both the charities and the retailers at this stage. We have a network of partners, both in the corporate world and in the charity sector, not only looking at food security, but looking at disability, children, work inclusion, women inclusiveness, and so on and so forth. But also universities or large foundation from corporates. So, for example, Primavera, that we recently signed up to use our software for their employees giving program. Another big win of this month was that ACT, which is the housing association, the umbrella under which the housing association in the UK worked. So they manage about 3.2 million of houses in the UK, social houses, are very much willing to use our system to give a bit more to help their residents, both shopping and paying for bills in this moment in which electricity prices are going absolutely crazy. And to be honest, knowing that you pay the bill for a family in crisis makes you want to give again, not only give again next Christmas, which seems to be the standard for a lot of people. Where are we right now? We have done a plethora of pilots and we tested our MVP to find market fit. Right now, we are working with we have about 20 open projects with a number of corporates, both from micro sizes to big sizes, namely Bosch is one of our clients. We're looking to raise funding because we just bootstrapped to date. So with the funding, we will improve the user experience of our platform and automate the onboarding and the dashboards, which are now partially manual. And in 18 months, we are looking to initiate FCA for e-money in Europe, and then maybe come to the US, where the problem seems of homelessness and food security seems to be a thing. What are we asking for right now? We are looking for investment to satisfy our pipeline. So we're looking to sell about 20% of our business for about £1 million. Why? Because that will give us a runway of 18 months. So initially we discussed with Mark 500K, of which we already have verbal agreement for about £250,000 from other investors. So those 500K will give us 6 to 8 months runway. We have a bunch of people that love to use our system. So I'm very happy for you to look at our YouTube videos or these kind of things that kind of show from the word of the users how this thing is working. Another thing that I'm very proud of is that people that are empowered with choice buy better things than what they receive from charities. So they're healthier, they are fresher, they're not pre-packed. And so in the future, when this thing will be adopted by a plethora of people, we will reduce overall welfare cost by looking at, by improving the way people eat on top of just giving them food. Who is us? It's me, co-founder, and a bunch of amazing advisors from Tom Morgan, ex-Accenture MD, to Kai Lockwood, a CEO of a charity, of a large trusted trust charity in the UK. Yeah, We've been mentioned by Forbes, by Thomson Reuters, we won some awards. But yeah, this is us. We would like to make money and help people along the way, or maybe the other way around, help people and make some money along the way. Any questions?
Awesome. Thanks for the presentation, Alberto. I'm sure there's plenty of questions. My first one is, why are you building this?
Because I care about impact, and because I worked 10 years in the strategy sector, delivering mainly two kinds of things. So delivering economic models for social impact monitoring, and delivering growth strategies for large corporates. And over the last 5 years, I've seen that there is a trend and there is an increasing interest, as everyone's seen, for sustainability. The E, so the environmental side of ESG, seems to be the focus of today, but the social aspects of the S of the ESG seems something that is very difficult to manage, that people are struggling to find an effective, simple solution to showcase their impact. And therefore, I thought that this idea that started by giving by working with homeless people, by giving the possibility to have a wallet on people's faces, and then transformed into an enabling technology that works with as a social network and allows to trace each step of a donation, from the time it's made to the time a charity receives it to any use that charity makes of it. I think could increase by 5 times through our calculation the effectiveness of the charity sector, which is £400 billion sector a year. So
it is. It's very big. How do you focus? That was my next question. There's so many different problems you could try to tackle: homelessness, food, medicine, access, jobs, etc. How do you stay focused and not go every direction?
That is I think is a ethical question, or it's more of a concentration kind of thing. So luckily I have Alex in the team, so Alex keeps me focused. That's the reality of the answer of this question. But there are two key themes. So we stay focused in 2 manners. We found that the food security issue is a massive issue in the UK, and there is a bit of traction, and we are following up on this traction. So we are in partnership. We have a partnership with the largest food bank network in the UK, and we're going down that line. On the other end, so we're offering the food security theme to our corporate donors. At the same time, we ask our corporate donors what they care about, because it's very easy for us to bring another charity on board if we can offer few cases, but then somebody else adds to it. So this is what we've seen when working with disability. We are working with 2 disability charities at the minute. We didn't bring them directly on board, but the corporate that we approached said actually food security is not in our code, but we're very interested in using this same technology to get more report, to get more data on the charities that we are supporting right now. And when we go to a charity saying, do you want some extra money? They are literally jumping for it. So that's how we are building and structuring our system.
So you're really meant to be the enabler then. One thing I've seen, or one kind of question I would have is, I've seen a lot of blockchain for everything to save the world and do good by tracking and greatness so we can launch a token kind of thing. Why not on the blockchain? Why did you intentionally go the opposite route?
So this is a good question. There are a lot of products out there. I do think that for charity today still, the cost of writing things on the blockchain is too high. So if we write a line of code in blockchain, but you are experts in this field, so correct me if I'm wrong, it still costs about 20p for a line of code written. So if we're talking about small donations and if we're talking about traceability, what is is there a value in writing things in the blockchain if we don't really need it to be as transparent as in the blockchain? On the other side, we're using regular technologies, so we're using dollars and the fiat currencies, because we do think that maybe in the future or in a few months' time, when we get to a bigger stage, it would not be a problem to integrate a blockchain token or a blockchain payment mechanism that we don't need to develop internally and to add an extra layer of security. But what we wanted to do so far is to make it easy for people to use the technology they know. So click and donate, and to not overcomplicate things, and to do something that we can manage between the two of us, we are not blockchain experts.
Yeah, and it's pretty good progress for two people. Bernard, do you have any questions on your side that you want to tell us?
Basically, the frictions you're trying to solve is how to send the funds, the time it takes to get this dispersed, and how recipients are using them, right? Why do you think your solution, for example, is better than providing the donors with providing the recipients of the donations with either like a digital debit card or something where the donors can track and know exactly where the money's going, and that can be scalable into a bunch of different use cases like universities, sports teams, and universities. And there's companies already trying to tackle that problem, and they've been pretty successful at it. And it's interesting what you're doing, and I really think there's a lot of different verticals that it can expand to, and I'd like to understand better what roadmap you also have in plan ahead.
So there are, let me get it right. There are two questions you're asking here. Why not a physical card? That's the first question.
Physical or digital, yeah.
And the second
physical is the fact that you can, so some people are more are less adaptive to technology and digital cards and all that.
So there are two bits of this answer. So the first answer, why not a digital card? For two reasons. Because if we say we want to create a bank for charity, or the Monzo for charity, people look at us like we are crazy. And whereas if we say we are a donation platform that provides this extra feature, they start to seem listening. In the reality of things, what we do provide is a digital payment mechanism. Can we say it today? Not really. Why? Because FCA and ESR regulation kind of blocks us from saying we are a bank today. So what we sell, the legality of things, is we sell the feedback. So everybody is very, very much willing to sell the feedback. We're not a bank. We are a platform that sells feedback to donors. And this makes us legally, makes it possible for us to operate legally in the UK, in Europe, and in the US. For now. In the future, or as soon as we get a little bit more funding and a little bit more traction, we will apply for FCA. And at that point, our story will be slightly different, and we offer a digital solution that enables transparent banking for charity or for charitable purposes. So I hope I answered your question. It's a question of roadmap. What can we sell in a specific moment in time without having problems with the regulator today? And again, it's a small team. So this is the solution we found today to make it viable. The second question on the roadmap, I hope I did answer partially your question at least. So it's a question of practicalities. The second question is, what is our roadmap? So far, we have about 20 open projects to date. We are looking, or I'm looking, to raise this money in order to hire the 3 people that have been helping us a little bit, mainly a UX designer and an operation person and a full stack developer. Why? Because our technology has been built in a bedroom, and now there are a lot of people using it. So we have about 400 families using it for the food security problem. There are about 15 charities using it for other different causes, but mainly to raise money and to show their donors what they did with the money. And we have 3 large corporates that are looking to expand our use. The large corporates being Bosch in Germany. Bosch is a foundation on its own. So the Robert Bosch Foundation is one of the biggest foundations in the world, which has a turnover of about 78 billion euros per year. Their employees, they count about 400,000 employees globally. Their employees created a foundation that is called Primavera, and we are gonna launch our first project with Primavera from next month. Their interest is to be able to support the charity they have globally and to engage better their employees, donors, in something more entertaining, more digital, more appealing in that sense. So that's step one, short term. Step two, short term, is ACT. I mentioned this housing association, very large housing association. We need a little bit of more capacity in order to be able to serve their needs. We are going to start with a large pilot next month, probably in the southeast of England. And that requires a dedicated person in order to be fully established. As soon as we have that, we will have the way in both on about 500 charities in the UK that are supported indirectly by ACT, and by about 100 large housing associations that together have a pool of £10 million they use every year to support the residents. So that's one side of the picture. Second side is Bosch. On the third side, we keep on running our operation, our current operation. So there's 20 active projects. What do we want to do? Where do we want to get in 6 months? In 6 months, I want to complete this funding round because it's very stressful to me. It's not something I'm enjoying at all. I like operation and I like to deliver the strategy that I'm thinking of. And I would like to be able to raise or to get about £550,000 in donation, which we would have charged about 10 to 15%, depending on the case, depending how many people pay along the same in 6 months' time. At that point, we would have proven that our product is completely scalable. We can open, I can go back to Europe and open and start working from there at least a little bit, and we can tackle that growth there. In 3 years' time, I would say that we want to become a tool of choice for corporates giving program, because we're very easy to use, and we want to become this foundation as a service aspiration that allows to track each individual, charities, or other foundation to track the impact of the giving.
It's very interesting. It's a great model. I know I personally only donate to Kiva because it's one of the few places you can see where there is tracking, there is accountability, and you do know that the money is going to where you want it to be. I can see this solving a major hurdle in the donations chain. We have one more question, and before we move on, and that's from Christoph. And Christoph wants to know, how do you guys handle fraud, fake receipts, etc.? And then while you're listening, listeners, we've got a community poll for you guys. Who's your favorite startup of the night so far? We've had 4 great companies present. Vote for your favorites, and of course, share it around. Now, Alberto, how do you guys handle fraud?
So there are different level of fraud, and let's take a step back. So let's consider a regular charity. So a regular charity keeps your data in a computer behind a desk, probably in a shed. Charity is not a big charity. You don't think about UNICEF. So you think about the charity that UNICEF works on in East London or in South America. So security there is very low. The technology that we use enables the same level of security that any other AWS services use. So same as CIA, same model, same softwares. So once the information is in the system is actually very secure. If you think about fraud in the use of money, or in the use of data, or in the use of people using the money, there are 2 aspects to that. First of all, the biometric recognition that we use we don't vet recipients individually. We let charities assign, verify that people are entitled to a donation when the donation will go to that charity. So say you donate to Food Bank XYZ, food banks XYZ will make sure that the Bob which is a person that they usually help, is entitled to your donation. And at that point, we'll make the transaction, will take care of the funds, or make sure that the funds will reach Bob. There are another aspect of the fraud thing, which is, will Bob spend the money correctly? And the second aspect of this answer is, we don't give money to Bob. We just pay the provider that Bob will use. So Bob will use his Face Donate application on his phone to generate a QR code, to take a picture of himself, generate a QR code, and that will enable him to pay. So he cannot exchange the QR code with anyone else, because he needs to self-verify before he can pay for what he needs. And the supermarket will have to upload, or will have to have integrated the receipt scanner. So you as a donor, or me as a donor, will receive that bit of information. So yes, there is the possibility that there is collusion between the supermarket provider and Bob, but that likelihood is very much limited, because if we were to see the supermarket being incredibly successful, so delivering to all the Bobs in the area something that we cannot understand, we simply stop payments. This enables us also to prevent that Bob buys certain items. Say a charity doesn't want Bob to drink alcohol, or to use the money that was allocated to him to buy lottery tickets or scratch cards. Well, we simply input that as in our contract. And then, because we pay the provider or the retailer or the charity after they provided feedback, we are able to see what has been provided and pay just what is deemed appropriate.
Very cool. Very cool. Then I want to thank you for presenting, Alberto. Remind everybody that's listening to leave a vote in the comments. We're a little over halfway through. Looks like a couple of startups decided they didn't need money, so that's okay. That means we don't need them. We've got some great companies here already. And while we're taking a short little break to give everyone a little breather, a little bit more about myself and the Startup Tank. So, hey guys, my name's Matt Ward. I kind of forgot to introduce myself. I'm a venture partner with Climentum Capital. I run the syndicate, which you can find out more at thestartuptank.com/the syndicate. Basically, we invest in pre-seed and seed stage companies, positive climate impact, sustainability, and areas of e-commerce, fintech, of course, climate sustainability. We work with AI companies, marketplace companies, SaaS. If you're making the world a better place and interested in a little bit of help in an angel network to do it, then be sure to reach out and learn more. Angel investors, if you guys are interested in those type of companies and maybe a little bit more deal flow, you can find out more information at thestartuptank.com/syndicate. And this is by no means a solicitation, and none of the things that you will hear presented here are by any means investment advice. Bernard, I want to give you a chance now before we go any further. Tell people a little bit more about yourself and what you do. We probably should have done this at the beginning, but well, this is a startup. We're bootstrapping and taping things together, and we're trying to get founders great funding. So Bernard, who are you? What do you do? And then we'll move on.
Of course. Yeah, to share a brief background, I was born in the Dominican Republic. I grew up between Nicaragua and the United States, and went to school to Purdue University and got my MBA in Babson College. I have solid background in international business, investment banking and finance. In terms of work, I'm an investment director for Integra Group. It's a private equity firm in Latin America with operations in renewable energy, agribusiness, mining, and retail. On the VC side, I'm a venture partner at VU Venture Partners. It's a multi-stage, multi-sectoral investment fund with offices in San Francisco, Hong Kong, and New York. I source deals, review, and make investments in fintech and proptech. I'm also a startup expert on Consilience Ventures. It was basically founded to accelerate growth for deep tech startups by aligning stakeholder incentives, developing smart technology, and building community. It basically provides a platform of vetted startups with skilled professionals and experts. and it's creating a new way of investing and accelerating the startup growth more incrementally with less risk at the same time. And so it's following this whole trend of the tokenization. And basically, the reason why I got into VC is I really love interacting with startups and founders. I believe there's really no better way to have an impact on society and on the globe than to invest in startups, because the ideas today could be transformation, and we can all be part of what that transformation might look like. You know, and coming from Latin America, a region with unparalleled natural beauty, but sadly one that is also struggling to overcome extreme poverty, and I'm noticing that what we do really has an impact, and that ourselves, our communities, our countries are all connected in some way, and for that system to be healthy, the individuals within it must act responsibly. You know, and I'm really committed to transform sectors and to serve as an example by backing companies committed to responsible products with attainable financial models. And I love companies that are disrupting and always changing the status quo, taking a stance and unwilling to accept the world standards as just good enough, and shattering the expectations put on by others. And I believe that there's a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs to innovate and build businesses that are sustainable, and not only look at their financial sheets and balance sheets as a metric to deem their success, but also at their impact in the larger system as a whole.
And if you guys can't tell, Bernard is super committed to the cause. That's why I wanted to get him on the program. Bernard, thanks for sharing a little bit more about you. And I wanna move on now so that we make sure that all the founders get a chance to present. And now I want to move into, we talked a little bit more about changing of the guard, so to speak, and investing in mission and world positive companies. This one's a little bit of an interesting one. They're trying to disrupt the gatekeeper, so to speak. We've got FilmVest on the program. So FilmVest, do you want to take it away, Joel?
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Bernard, for having us all here so far. You're beautiful hosts. And also congratulations to the other founders that have pitched so far. I've seen some really exciting stuff. Some of you guys are quite ahead already in your development. We are relatively more early stage, so to speak, but it's a nice opportunity and privilege to be here with you. So without further ado, let me share my presentation, because I bet you guys are all tired and want to eat as well at some point. Are you seeing this?
Yes. Yep.
Beautiful. So, little word about myself. Hi, everyone. I am Joele, and I'm the founder of FilmVest. Today, we'll talk about films and how to change them. Everybody loves them, but not many know the profitable business behind. It is an unforgiving market, however, and access to it is all but easy. Even the industry's biggest companies are being taken over or merged, which left a few established players dominating. Everyone else is in trouble to seek funding, and outside investors remain gated out. Things are inefficient and change is needed. What is crazy is that the public does not have a chance to chip in to this day. We are only trained to associate films with emotions, but what if we saw them as stocks to trade and gain from as well? Well, I'll tell you what would happen. We would finally get access to a cool alternative investment and an active role in film production. Filmmakers instead get more funding and feedback from supporters that share the same passion and promote their film. Why? Because now it's in their interest. And we are FilmVest. We want to let them do it through our blockchain-based platform, where people can experience and invest in films like never before. So, while we expect the most trending investments to come from blockbusters, we also want small filmmakers to get a chance, since they are the most affected by how things work today. This also provides investors with a diversified offers in turn. This is our platform, at least the first version of it, and through it, the filmmakers can reach people that want to invest in something they are passionate about and get immediate cash. Investors, in turn, get an insider look at the projects on FilmVest and get a cut of the revenues every 6 months. terms of competition, there is no direct competitor in the alternative asset market, in the sense that a competitor that specializes in this vertical. As comparable platforms rise in other industries, though, such as music, for instance, and one of the companies is already our partner, we are convinced our timing is right. We aim to capture the film vertical thanks to a business model that rewards all participants. We bring decentralized finance to films by involving for the first time a broad public of investors of all sizes. Unlike crowdfunding, and this is a fundamental difference, investors are not just donors on FilmVest, but become producers on their own. All this with a mature blockchain technology to allow for ownership tracking of shares and audience engagement. Global online investments are trending and expected to reach $5 billion by 2028, while the film industry accounts alone for $660 billion, of which 21 in the UK alone. We are here to connect the dots, starting from Europe, where we can leverage our network to set up for a global reach. The main global market, the US, is next in line. We also intend to reassure our users by selecting the best projects thanks to an experienced board and a proprietary selection algorithm. What we have so far is, with the current resources, we managed to achieve 40,000 euros in letters of interest for our first round. And we're also discussing several prospects for the pipeline and gather 51,000 cold leads ready to be warmed up in the creation of our community. I am Joele. I used to enable people to invest in startups with one of the leading crowd investing platforms in Italy, CrowdFundMe, and it is my mission to let them do it as well with something as cool as films. And sharing the journey with me, I have Bart, which is our tech whiz, specialized in architecture and blockchain infrastructure. So if you have some technical question, I tell you to ask to him, but he's not here, unfortunately. So please write us back if you're interested in the technology. And Andrea, finally, an international legal guru for blockchain-related project, which is also co-founder to an up-and-coming NFT marketplace that is dedicated for helping young artists, young and established artists in the music and the art space to promote themselves here in Italy, called Universe. We are looking for 320,000 euros to launch our MVP and cover the promotion of our first two projects to validate our investor journey. With this trajectory in mind, we will reach 6,000 users and have the selection algorithm online by 2022. Once the platform is fully tuned, then, and the business model validated, we will scale operations starting in 2023 with two other rounds of 1 and 2 million respectively. I hope you enjoyed yourself and understood a bit about this interesting project which we want to use to change the world and help all filmmakers find a way to see their projects come to a reality and help us break the fourth wall. You will find the QR code here in the last slide if you want to check out our website and give us feedback through our survey link that we put there. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks for presenting, Joel. One major red flag just right off the bat. Did you say your co-founder also has another startup?
That is correct. He's actually, we kind of synergized together with that startup because that's a startup that he initially found to develop the technology, the blockchain technology to then utilize as a way to distribute and manage the film shares that will then be utilized on FilmVest. So it's actually he's actually bringing his expertise from that other startup in both technology and smart contracting to FilmVest rather than it being a problem. Also because his participation in the other startup is relatively marginal, whereas he is mostly committed on his time on FilmVest. So he's part of the other startup, but I actually see it as a good fit rather than something that splits him up.
If you're married but mostly committed, that means you're cheating. I think it's similar when it comes to startups. You can't have two babies. You have to kill one or give one away. And I think that that's something that you're going to probably have come up time and time again when pitching investors. Is that so? Think about it from another perspective. Let's say the other startup starts to take off. What happens to your startup? Well, he's no longer here because he has something that's winning.
Well, he's been instrumental in setting us up because his expertise is legal, and with a company like this, where we basically become become gatekeepers for the investors' wallets. We have to set up the various contracts which will regulate all the interaction between the producers and the public of Filmvest investors. The crucial part for him would be is now in the beginning to help set up and regulate the infrastructure. Once that is done, I'm not gonna say he's going to be replaceable, because he is still very much committed to the project, but it will the scope of the legal help that we will need will shift to other areas. So his absence won't break the company when it comes at the later stage.
Okay. What's the big picture? What's the big upside for this company? Is it enabling production companies to produce more, or is it onboarding a director like Scorsese that says, screw my company, I'm going to go here and fund it myself and have all the upside? Where do you see the big picture upside for FilmFest?
Well, we started out more as a philanthropic company that just wanted to give more visibility and financial help to small and medium producers that usually face huge competition and unfair standards from the few companies that provide them financing with. So usually major companies that usually put such as Warner Bros, such as Universal, which put a lot of emphasis on metrics when evaluating a project, or metrics that reward commercial success rather than considering other aspects that are equally important but not as quantifiable, such as the artistic value of their creation. So for those that manage to catch their interest, a lot of the time their creative vision is distorted. They need to come down to compromises on their vision to accommodate for those needs. So we wanted to give them a new way to get funding and remain independent in their decision making, being able to listen to the feedback of your investors. But if that feedback only comes, from one big investor that's going to put all the money that you need for the production of film, you're going to be completely dependent on whether they say you need to make it dark or you need to make it light. So making some decisions because from their analysis and projections, that's going to make more sense financially. But if you split the feedback that you receive from your investors in 100 making it from 100 to 200 people that are very passionate about your project, so much as they invested their money, not donated but invested, so they actually expect for there to be a financial return from it, you will be able to get a lot of feedback that can steer you in the right direction, but at the same time you will still maintain freedom to make your project, your film project, come true and execute on it. So that was the initial idea, but then we realized that there wasn't a big enough market to justify getting to an international level with this company, and we also realized that there was a huge portion of the market, if we were to appeal to alternative asset investors, that was left unserved, which is the one for films that are already made. So basically, as I mentioned before, we are looking at two main categories of films that people can invest in, that people can buy shares of, which both and the purchase of those both help producers, but in a different way. So for films in production, you are actually helping those little producers that have no many means to close their budgets. So besides usually state grants and lending or private funding, they would use the FilmVest, the possibility to sell a share of their film on FilmVest as a way to close their financing. So you have a film of a budget of a 1 million budget. You raise the first 800,000. You need the last 20%. So you sell 20% of your shares to the people on FilmVest, which
understood. I think we need to cut you off there. Sorry, we're running a little bit short on time. Do you have one quick question, Bernard, before we move on?
And no, it's clear.
Okay, sorry about having to cut you off, but we are running a little bit low on time, and I want to make sure all the founders have a chance to present.
No problem.
Thanks so much for that. And if people want to find out more, it's filmvest.com.
Thank you very much.
And the founders always have the first name emails, if a pro tip for anyone trying to reach out. Now I want to move on. We're going to move on to Vinny, the sweet tactic to be a better parent. If you've ever not known what to do with your kids or wanted to have some cool new ideas, Vinny's got you covered. Take it away, Alex.
Okay, Matt. No, I will present this project.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Oh, okay. So give me a sec. I'll share my screen. So where is it? It's here. All right. Okay. So let's go. What's up, everybody? I'm Nick, co-founder of Vinny, and I have something cool for you. I believe that if you act today, your relationships with kids will improve tomorrow. Have you ever been in a position like, I want to play with a kid, but have no ideas what the game? I mean, something meaningful for child development and fun for you, and something that does not require a ton of preparations and can be tried right away. So our task is straightforward. Suggest the best fun activities for you and your kid. Our solution is simple. Mobile app with the unique ideas and detailed instructions, even if you only have 15 minutes. But how it works? Both your and your kids' interests matter. We always keep it in mind. All you need is to take 4 simple steps. Tell us what you like, get the best matching games, customize the game if necessary, and enjoy the game and get an achievement badge. We are primarily targeting millennials in the US as they enter parenthood. Our estimated TAM is about $1 billion. Our true sum amounts to $11 million. We expect to hit 100 million valuation very quickly. TAM is defined on the slide. It's a total number of parents multiplied the product price. Few words about our traction. This is one of the most crucial slides for a startup, and investors want to see dynamics and retention cohorts here. However, we are in the product market fit stage now, and our primary goal is to find the best marketing channel. The application is available in the App Store and Google Play. We use a subscription-based model. Our initial subscriptions cost $19 per month. Our MRR is slowly growing, and now it's around $500. We also managed to reduce the CPI by almost 10 times, from $30 to $3. As you can see, we are only launched in December 2021 and started testing marketing in January 2020. Our goal for the second quarter of 2020 is to reach MRR of $5,000. What are the big picture of the industry? Well, so Baby Tech has a bunch of cool projects. Most of them are US-based and well-funded. Why? The perspectives are clear. There are no direct competitors. Some similar projects are focused on the child development, but not quality time with the kids. So let me introduce our team, executive team, really quickly. We have 3 founders with a very diverse background. Here is how we split the job to be done. I am a CPO with 1 successful exit from a mobile app with over 1 million users, 3 failed startups, and 8 years of mobile app development experience. In 2020, I graduated from the 3 accelerators in the US. Alex is our CBDO and the father of 3. He works with investors and developed a business methodology. Alex co-founded an investment fund and demonstrated a 4x capitalization growth in 3 years. And James is our CEO and tech founder. Built and managed 5 international teams from scratch to a successful product launch. So we create meaningful entertainment opportunities for you and your kids and reduce their screen time. That's about Vinny, and thanks for your attention.
Thanks for the presentation, Nick. Quick question on my side. I feel like churn would be a real problem here. Once I've gone through, I've seen what tasks I like and my son likes, I would be done.
I hope, thanks for the question. I think that yes, maybe we can meet a churn But we have an idea that if you subscribe to this app and you don't have a time to play with the kid this month, maybe you have an idea, hey, I already paid for it, maybe I will do it next month. And I hope then we're talking about the paying customers, they will not unsubscribe from this app, because unsubscribe from the apps that makes you and your kids happier, it means for you to make your kids unhappy. So that's our idea.
So have you thought about a freemium model? You're kind of using like the telecom model of, I hope they don't unsubscribe, because it would be it's hard to unsubscribe, or there's kind of a pain there, but it's not necessarily a value, and those are two different things. I think you need the value to keep people there long term and to grow.
I get it. Thanks a lot. Yeah, and about the freemium model, yes, we already, so this in a test now. So I hope that we can compare the results of these two models and choose the best one.
Okay, I'd have more questions, but I'll turn it over to you, Bernard. Bernard, do you have a question for Vinny?
Yeah, so how do you plan to I mean, what Matt said was very important in terms of the churn rate. That's extremely that's a challenge I see, unless you continuously keep adapting and adding new stuff to the platform. And how many users do you have right now, and how many do you need to really achieve profitability?
Okay, so we have just a few users. It's around 30 paying customers and around 3,000 installs. So the conversion rate from the install to the paying customers, it's quite low now, but it's okay for any startup on an early stage. So we plan to improve it. So I think sorry.
How do you plan to improve it and grow? Yeah.
It's just marketing, because we have a product, we have a lot of expertise developing B2C projects. I operate and founded a dating app with more than 1 million users. So I know how to advertise big projects, how to advertise small projects. So
that's to get a bigger funnel. Right now you have a leaky ship. How do you make your ship less leaky?
It's just we need just the time. I think we need a time to test a lot of ideas, a lot of hypotheses how to acquire users. So now we launched a marketing campaign. So we advertise our product in Facebook and TikTok. We are different influencers. So I hope that maybe in a few months later we will have enough data to share with you and with other people.
But the issue is
have money.
It doesn't seem to be getting users. The issue seems to be more getting users to use the app and find it valuable. That's what it sounds like. You have a 0.1% conversion rate right now.
I cannot agree on this point, because when you launch a new product and you try different acquisition channels, you didn't think about the conversion. We reduce the CPI from $30 to $3 in the US market, and it's great. I think that that's our main metric for now, not the CR. The CR will be the next one.
What are your projected growth rates right now?
Growth rate, you mean from month to month?
Year to year.
What?
Year on year.
Very hard question, because all my plans were ruined up after I meet the CPI more than $30. So I hope that at the end of this year, we plan to reach around from 50 to 70,000 MRR and around 3,000 paying customers. So that's our plan. And then three times growth year from year.
What assumptions are driving that rapid scale that you have there?
You mean what assumptions? What acquisition channels?
I mean, what are you gonna do different to scale from 5,000 MRR to $1 million MRR
I think it's a number of the marketing activities, and also it's a viral model, because if we will be able to create a community around our product, then I hope that it will help us, because we set it up more than 100 one-to-one interviews during our CAS dev. So now we know a lot about the parenting in the US, and we try to test different pain points of our audience. So I think that the growth will be connected with more marketing, first of all. It's like, it's a model close to the Calm, to the any meditation project or something like this.
What's your cost to acquire one customer?
What customer? Sorry, Bernard, can you repeat the question?
What's your customer acquisition cost?
Now it's around $3 per one install. So I think that $3 per one user now. But I cannot answer you about the paying customers, because now it's more than $200. But I think that our target CAC for paying users around less than 100. Because if we'll reach $100 per one user, we will be able to return money more than close to 1 year. So we just need to sell annual subscription with different add-ons, and it will be enough to cover all the costs for the marketing.
And what's the lifetime value of each customer, on average?
I cannot answer you now because it's too early. Our project is just 3 months. We are on the market just for the 3 months, so I cannot predict it. I hope that it will be around from 2 to 300 in money. I mean, so we cover the kids aged from 2 to 5. So we predict that our users will stay with us maybe for 2 or 3 years.
We'll see. I would be a little skeptical. I would think people might come and go. You don't keep paying for Netflix if you don't watch Netflix.
It's not about Netflix. It's about ideas for offline activities. But I get this.
Mm-hmm. But either way, I think there's definitely potential there. I think it's important what you guys are doing. Unfortunately, we don't have time for audience questions. We've got one more presentation. Thanks for presenting, Nick and Alex from Vinny. You guys can check it out at Vinny app. They're on Google Play and on iPhone. And then we have Fabian. Fabian's our last presenter of the night. Then we'll crown a startup of the night. Fabian is with Roush, and he's trying to transform the way that people travel and book their travel specifically.
Hi guys, can you see me, hear me, everything good? Perfect. Just to share.
You are good to go, Fabian.
Perfect, thank you very much for the time, guys, and good luck to all the other startups. My name is Fabian D'Agostino. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Roush, and we're building the peer-to-peer booking.com. So we see a world where travel commerce is increasingly being driven by people. We post on social media, we make travel ratings and reviews, we even tell our friends about the trip, hotels, and restaurants that we stayed at. But what if you could actually earn from the recommendations and the successful referrals? We at Roush are building the infrastructure for peer-to-peer travel commerce, specifically to be able to tag flights, hotels, and activities in your content, share them through social networks, and earn booking commissions for each sale. So whether you post a picture on social media, give your friends tips and recommendations, organize an event, or even upload a blog, now you can earn. The true value proposition of, The true value proposition of Roush is essentially enabling travel content creators to monetize their fan base. We've been speaking to over 100 travel creators over the last few months, and by changing and reshifting our sales pitch to introduce this booking.com GMV type of model, our sign-up rates have shot up to 80% conversion. And they influence millions of people, millions of travel choices around the world, but they don't earn from the sales and the marketing efforts. And current existing tools such as Patreon with subscription, gated content with OnlyFans, or affiliates to sell rubbish lipstick is not effective for the content creator. And this model apparently is more interesting for them, hence the high subscription rates. Furthermore, on the flip side, this problem further alienates 90% of millennials and Gen Z who find their trip on social media to not be able to book that experience, forcing them into this horrible user experience where first I need to go into Google Maps to find the place, then search hundreds of OTAs, do price comparisons to find a book. And the money goes to a huge conglomerate and not to your friends and family. Hence, we are going to market with opening up travel and its commissions to the creators economy. To date, we've onboarded the top 30 travel influencers for free to sell their experiences to their 35 million fans. And we've built up the technology which allows them to enrich their content on social media with over 65,000 hotels, 650,000 hotels, 50,000 activities in every flight around the world. In turn, this creates this beautiful and seamless booking experience where travelers can see this stunning content and essentially drives from the picture that you click, you're able to immediately check out. Or you can also save it for later. Our model is essentially far more sophisticated and sustainable compared to current OTAs. Not only is our user experience 10 times better by streamlining a booking process of around 750 touch points to 6, but we also eliminate the industry's average of a 65% marketing to revenue ratio. And essentially, because of this unit economic superiority, this allows us to enjoy industry-leading commission payouts, where a creator earns around 7 to 8% per transaction. Hence, we expect to pay 7 million to our content creators 20 months post-launch. What Airbnb did with homeowners, we're doing for anyone or every traveler with a voice. They redistributed the room bookings for hotels to people. We're redistributing the 47 billion of travel commissions from OTAs to people. And we truly are the first mover, the first company to make content dynamic travel products and social media profiles booking engines. We believe that Roush could ignite the largest redistribution of travel, of wealth and empowerment in travel's history. We are 3 co-founders who have exited a company together previously and have expert level experience in travel and technology. And essentially we're opening up a round now, pre-fundraising, a pre-milestone fundraising round, since we have de-risked the venture, have validated supply and demand, and they are giving you the opportunity to join in just before having a better deal on this round. And yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. And if you're interested, please do get in touch to build with us the P2P operating system, starting off with travel. Cheers. Awesome.
Thanks for presenting, Fabian. We'll try to keep the questions. Shortish. So, social media. Which platforms do you integrate, and where do you see the biggest potential?
At the moment, we're connecting with every single social media platform. We believe that Facebook, and we believe that all of the social media platforms are opening up more and more. In the last 6 months, TikTok entered the space. Therefore, all the other social media channels have to react to it, which is empowering this new wave of. Sorry, my presentation is moving without me wanting to do anything. Exactly. So the inflection point in distribution is allowing a new wave of startups to be able to sell travel over social media, where we're the first mover into it.
I think TikTok could be huge for you guys because the monetization is terrible for the creators in general. That could be a great way for young millennials.
When we spoke to creators on TikTok, they've been absolutely loving it. And really excited to get some of them on board. You know, some of these guys have 1.5 million followers, but they're not making a dime.
How are you onboarding creators? What's your growth strategy?
At the moment, we're simply doing a one-on-one approach because we need to understand what's actually our sales pitch and refining it as we go. But now we're working with, I would call them an umbrella account. So these guys are sharing other people's content. The beautiful thing is these are thought leaders, and since they work with so many other content creators, they'll be able to onboard us to other content creators and hence we'll be able to enjoy similar, onboarding strategies like the PayPal. When they work with us, and for the other content creator to be able to also get their earnings, they need to sign up to Roush.
Is the system already live? Are you already paying out to creators?
Not yet. We're literally 3 weeks away.
Okay, and once you do, I would love to. I would say, unfortunately, we kind of have to start to wrap things up. We're already a little bit over time. It is a super interesting model. It can be a super disruptive model. Do you have any questions on your side, Bernard?
I'm good, Matt. Yeah.
You're good. Okay. Then my next and my last question then for you, Fabian, would be, with what you guys are building, it is sort of a platform marketplace, but you can also kind of cheat by pulling in from other places. What's the biggest challenge you have in scaling up then?
What's the biggest challenge? I think it's just the marketing budgets from all the companies trying to attract the creators, right? Hence, I hope this will not lead us to needing to raise war chest funding rounds, right? To be able to outpay content creators to come on board. But that's also essentially our locking factor at the end, that we're able to, currently with our model, we're able to pay the most amount of money out to a content creator than anybody else.
How long does it take a content creator? Sorry. How long does it take a content creator to actually create a bookable experience from what they already have?
At the moment, we're using a cyborg approach until, of course, we have the technology which matures itself across our building blocks. At the moment, we're doing everything manually in the backend to make sure that the tagging process of collecting that hotel with that image is the right one to facilitate that seamless click. In the future, this will all be a seamless automated process. The tool is supposed to be as bloody simple as tagging a location on your Instagram post. That's it. One step additional click to your current workflow.
Very cool. Very cool. I think there's a ton of potential. Now, then I want to thank you for presenting, Fabian, and then move things into the kind of final and grading stage. Sound good?
Thanks, guys, thank you for the time. I appreciate you. Voices.
And now, Bernard, I want to flip things over to you and to I specifically. So we've seen 8 great companies or 7 great companies present. Sometimes math's a little hard on the fly. Of those companies, which of the ones are you most excited about? Which companies would you want to set up meetings with, or are you going to set up meetings with, and why?
I definitely see a lot of potential in Face Donate. It's an interesting concept what they're doing, and I see a lot of ways for them to scale into other verticals aside from just donations, but also tackle university grants the same way, and sports teams, university sports teams, in order to kind of track their spending. Also, I think Face Donate was the one that I like the most, and yeah, basically for now I'd have to dig a little bit deeper into the other ones.
I think we're in agreement then. Face Donate would be my favorite company as well, mostly because of what they're doing, but also it's got the scale and the impact of really making a difference. I think all of the founders are building really meaningful companies. There's some other ones I'm pretty excited about. Gotta love the progress and traction that Bolt-on's got. Line Delivery's made some pretty good strides already. Blockpulsar may just be building the kind of, not AWS, but the backbones of building out smart contracts. FilmVest could change the way that we make films in the future. Roush, I mean, social media is totally broken. No one likes booking. We all want to travel thanks to COVID. I think there's a lot of potential from all the companies that are presented, but yeah, I would say on my side of things, I would be choosing Face Donate as well as startup of the night.
Woo! Thank you guys for the nice words. So I'm look forward to hear from you both. Thank you. This
Awesome.
is exciting.
And thanks to all the great startups that presented. Thanks to all the great listener questions. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. thestartuptank.com/YouTube. Our next session is coming up April 25th. We'll have another great lineup of startups presenting. If you want to present, thestartuptank.com, you can apply there. You can also learn more about our investor syndicate, which focuses on pre-seed and seed stage world positive impact companies, possibly just like Face Donate. That's one that I'm pretty interested in, if I'm totally honest. And Bernard, where's the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, you can. I'll share you my link right here, or you can email me through or LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm almost at Discord. I'm basically in every platform, and I'll give you guys a link right where you can. It's all consolidated, and you can find me there.
Bernard is Bernard J. Vogel on Twitter. I'm mattward.io. You can also find me on my personal website, mattward.io. If you go to mattward.io/free, I've got a bunch of free growth hacking guides when it comes to strategies to grow and scale your business, ways to build virality into your product, fundraising hacks in terms of how to put together your pitch deck, how to pitch investors, how to grow and scale faster. If you're interested in that and making your business bigger, mattward.io. And thanks so much for tuning into this session of the Startup Tank. What were you going to say, Bernard?
Yeah. So you can find me at www.bernard.live. And to all the founders, just don't be scared of being annoying and pushing, and whether when you talk to investors, if they don't reply or if they don't follow up, just send an email back. I really believe your success in life will be proportional to the number of awkward conversations you're willing to have. So go ahead and who cares if the no, you already have it. So just try to get the yes and continue hustling, and at the end, it's all about how much you put into it. And thank you all for your time, and I really enjoyed hearing from you guys.
And thanks for the hustle too, guys. Starting the company is it's a shit show. It's a roller coaster. So congrats to everyone who's made it this far. Totally agree there. Push to keep building something. And again, other founders, if you're out there listening, thestartuptank.com. If you found any of this valuable, reach out to the founders, reach out to investors. Same with investors who are listening now or later. We've got great companies here, great companies all around, but it takes a bit of hustle. And if you're afraid of a no, then you might as well just go home. Yeah. Until next time, cheers. Bye, guys. This is fun.
You guys.